Key members of the Belarus opposition will be put on trial in absentia today on charges of conspiracy to seize power and forming an extremist organisation. And this includes the leader of the opposition, Svetlana Tikhanovskaya, who lives in exile. The 5 accused have all been living abroad since fleeing after mass protests in 2020 failed to topple President Alexander Lukashenko. There's been a whole series of political trials in Belarus in the past few weeks. Well, Alexander is senior advisor to Svetlana Tikhanovskaya. He joins us from the World Economic Forum in Davos, where the Belarusian politician is set to speak shortly. Welcome to you. Thanks very much for being with us. What more do we know about the trial and what will happen today?
Of course, it's not a trial. It's a farce. It's a circus. It's a revenge of Lukashenko on all those who protested against him in 2020. And his main target is, of course, Svetlana Tikhanovskaya, who dared to challenge him, who won this election, according to different surveys. She received from 50 to 70% of votes, and Lukashenko can't forgive it to her. So he's trying to increase repressions in order to stay in power and to punish all those dissent.
Now, Svetlana is going to be talking today at Davos, where you are. Just explain the background to what's happened to her. She ran in the 2020 Belarusian presidential election as the main opposition candidate, and she's been in exile for the past 2 years.
She won elections. She created the government in exile. Now she has united transitional cabinet, which basically helps Belarusians to continue their resistance against dictatorship. And she represents Belarusian interests abroad. And here in Davos, just behind me, she will be speaking in a minute with the president of Poland, Lithuania, about the future security of Europe. She's recognized as the real president of Belarus by many countries and also by several international organizations. And Lukashenko and Putin tries to destroy her, to diminish her, to say that she's an imposter. She's not real president, but for Belarusians, she is exactly the person who represents its interests, because Lukashenko's regime just gave up the role of protector of independence.
How much support does she have, and how hopeful is she that one day she'll be able to return to her country and rule it?
Definitely, but she promised to Belarusian people that she will rule Belarus only until new free and fair elections. So her goal is to, number one, release all political prisoners. And there are more than 5,000 people in prisons right now, and repressions continue. Second, to establish, to return rule of law in Belarus, and to conduct economic reforms. Then she leaves, and the new political leaders hopefully will come to rule Belarus. But most important, before this happens, Belarus must be liberated from Russian troops, because right now, more than 12,000 Russian soldiers are deployed on Belarus territory, and basically we are observing the creeping occupation of our country.
And with that in mind, there are joint drills happening in Belarus today. What are your thoughts or concerns about what could happen on the border there and what could happen with Belarusian troops?
It's very dangerous development. The drills are taking place for more than 1 year, every single day. And their goal is to distract Ukrainian army. And so they must focus more on the northern border. Second, to put pressure on Belarusian society, put pressure on the NATO allies, but also to demonstrate loyalty to Putin. Lukashenko does everything possible to show to Putin that he is the only trustable ally. And he exchanged this loyalty for political, financial, and diplomatic benefits.
Alexander, thank you very much for joining us.